Late nights at Walmart had their own peculiar aura. The store's emptiness, the quiet hum of the cooling units, and the distant hum of the highway combined to create an unsettling atmosphere. But I needed the job, and my shift wasn't ending until I restocked the shelves and tidied up. As I took my 15-minute break, I stood outside getting some fresh air. There was a regular stray dog that would always be lingering around the area. I'd actually gotten into the habit of throwing him whatever scraps I could muster up from inside. I started to make my way in and I noticed a man in his 40s pacing near the entrance. His eyes darted around, as if searching for someone. As I passed by, he looked at me, his gaze unnerving. "Hey, could you help me?" he called out, his voice almost too friendly. I hesitated, my instincts urging caution. "Just need a hand loading a couple of things into my truck," he continued, motioning to the exit. Despite my unease, I agreed, thinking it was a straightforward favor. As we reached the entrance, I noticed that his truck was parked in the darkest corner of the parking lot. My heart pounded. This felt wrong, but it was company policy to help people carry things to their car. He gestured to a couple of boxes in the bed of the truck. "Could you just hand me those?" he asked. My fingers twitched with unease, my gut telling me something was off. But I tried to push the thoughts aside and focused on helping. Just as I reached out to grab a box, a shiver ran down my spine. I heard the faintest whisper behind me, the rustling of fabric. It was the sound of movement, of someone stepping out from the shadows. Panic surged through me, and I glanced back. And that's when I saw them, two more men, emerging from the darkness, their faces obscured by shadows. My heart raced, my body tensing, and I dropped the box instinctively. My mind screamed at me to run, to get back inside the store, to safety. I turned to bolt, but the man in front of me grabbed my arm, his grip like a vice. "Where do you think you're going?" he sneered, his friendly demeanor now replaced with a menacing grin. Adrenaline surged through me, and I fought to break free. The men were closing in, their intentions unmistakable. I struggled, my heart pounding in my chest, my thoughts a jumbled mess. And then, out of nowhere, a barrage of barks came from the bushes. It was the stray dog that I'd always see around the parking lot. It lunged at the man who had my arm and latched right onto him. I felt so relieved and shocked that I remember I actually let out a smile and a slight giggle. It's weird, but I vividly remember the massive emotional shift from sheer terror to absolute relief when that dog came running out. The grip on my arm loosened, and I wrenched myself free, stumbling back. I started sprinting back to the store, followed only by the sound of the growling, barking, and moans of pain from the man. At this point, my coworker came running out to check on me. I could see the men getting into the truck and driving towards us as I told him what happened. "Get lost," my coworker growled, his voice full of authority. The men hesitated for a moment longer before retreating, disappearing into the darkness. My coworker turned to me, clearly concerned for me. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded, my heart still racing, my mind was still racing, and I was on an adrenaline high. That's when the dog ran over, peaceful as ever, wagging his tail and pushing himself into my legs. I gave him the biggest hug and told him how much of a good boy he was. Me and my coworker watched as the men disappeared into the night. "We need to call the police," he said firmly, his eyes focused on where the men had vanished. We retreated back into the store and dialed 911. Within minutes, the police arrived, and I recounted the chilling encounter to them. They assured us they would patrol the area and keep an eye out for any suspicious activity. The dog stayed with me the whole time as the police took our statements. We had narrowly escaped a potentially dangerous situation, and it was a sobering reminder of the risks that came with late-night shifts. In the days that followed, news spread about a group of individuals attempting to lure unsuspecting victims into their trap. The police were investigating, and I felt a mix of relief and gratitude that my new best friend had come to my rescue. Late nights at Walmart would never be the same for me. The unsettling atmosphere was now a haunting reminder of the night I barely escaped danger. There's a small update in the comments regarding what happened afterwards.